So, guys, I want to review AEW Dynamite for last night, and I do want to say that I did not watch the show completely, and also last night was very, very frustrating for me. So, I'm definitely going to talk about, what I remember about the show, and just to keep it like really drama free. So, the show opens with the match of I'm trying to remember who it was. It was John Moxley versus Juice Robinson, and I didn't pay attention to this match at all because it's the same old shtick with John Moxley. Like, he's always going to win. You never really have anybody that's going to, be like, okay, you know what, let's just have them beat John Moxley at least one time and let's have him have a compelling match. So I kind of just think that it's a little like, okay, what's the next thing with John Moxley? It just feels very repetitive. And then it also kind of says too, when you have very talented teams like the Guns, or like the Gun Club, why aren't they going after the trios title? Why aren't they doing promos? Why are they just there to be there and not really have a direction for them? Because I do think they have a really great trios team, and that has to be a video for another day where I talk about the trios division. The next thing that happened was that there's Okada versus Brian Keith, and when that happened, again, I didn't pay attention to that because I'm kind of like, okay, well, we know how it goes when we know how it goes, so we just seen the match where somebody defended their championship, and like the winner is going to win, the loser is going to lose. Move on to the next thing. So during the first hour, they revealed that it's not going to be Anarchy in the Arena. It's going to be Stadium Stampede. And really, with Anarchy in the Arena, it's very, very violent. But Stadium Stampede is more of it's more kind of comical. It's almost like Teen Titans. Like, I remember my brother saying about the Teen Titans that that you have to listen to the intro. Like, if it's in English, it's gonna be maybe a darker episode. If it's a if it's in Japanese, it's a more like fun episode. So it's probably just like that where that's how I'd look at Anarchy in the Arena versus Stadium Stampede, and it's bad this year because they have Chris Jericho, Team Jericho versus Team Ricochet, and it's bad for a couple of reasons because Jericho has been really known to have a really big ego, and he's going to do a lot of stupid comedy shit because he did kind of get very highly ridiculed for Stadium Stampede, like the first one where he was just trying to chill with the boys really. So I really think that this is going to be like a Chris Jericho love fest, and then the other part of it is it's the same thing with Ricochet. Like Ricochet kind of likes being the douchebag, really. So probably when you watch this, it's just gonna be like wrestlers being very 48-hour film project, and that just means they're in love with their own stupid comedy. They're in love with just being silly and goofy, really. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do. There are some like speculation that for both teams, they may do something like it could be the Hurt Syndicate and Chris Jericho, or it could be Ricochet needs one more member, so you can find Leo Rush. So you can use Leo Rush, you can use Max Caster or somebody else really, or I'm predicting maybe Roosh because Roosh wants to stand out because Roosh is a strong guy really. So maybe like you have Roosh and versus Bobby Lashley, then you tease that for Wembley Stadium, but it's not going to be a really good. It's not going to be a good match. It's probably just going to be like a Chris Jericho love fest. Maybe Jericho's retiring this year or next year, so there may be a sense of just okay, we want to, we're gonna tolerate some funness with fun with Chris Jericho, like for the last time really. The next thing that happened during the show is that there was a promo with Harley Cameron and Mina Shirakawa, and I think what's going on with Harley Cameron is that I think what Mina's just saying that okay, you know what, Willow's just not here right now, so you have to focus on me as a new tag team partner. And she rips her shirt, and then we see like Harley Cameron with her boob job and a push up bra. So like honestly, like it's like what other people were kind of saying about Harley Cameron. Like, yes, she's into her own sexuality, which is no problem. Any gender, that's no problem. But also, she's a ventriloquist. There is a story of an underdog. She is comical. She can speak foreign languages. So she's not really seen always in a very sexualized way. She's also seen in, she's also kind of seen in a character type of way where there's so many different like a polymath. Like a polymath is somebody who has is like experts in different areas really. So she's kind of almost like that in a way. And then after that, I didn't really watch the rest of the show, but there were some things that I've heard. I heard later on that night there was like a tag team match. Um, oh no, they had Orange Cassidy versus I think it was like Dax or something like that. And I remember like falling asleep during that. But what happened was they had like a bunch of members from different factions. Like I think it was like Edge and Christian were down there, and then you had and then you had on the Bang Bang Gang. Then you had the Dogs. I mean, you had a couple other people really, and I kind of said to myself, imagine if this was Anarchy in the Arena. Like I think that that would be way more. This is the way more interesting group than like the five like that like they have to pick like there has to be a leader and they pick five of all these members on each side really. I think that'd be far more interesting than Jericho versus Ricochet Stadium Stampede. So definitely they're trying to hype up the match. The next thing is that it was announced earlier on in the show that it's going to be Okada versus the champion because obviously we don't know. I mean, obviously, if you watch the show and I mean, like in the, how should I say this? As the show is going on, you don't know who's going to win the main event. Predictable Darby, but we don't know who's going to win the main event, so it's going to be Okada facing the champion next week, Darby Allin. But the thing about it is that I felt that was a bad decision because obviously it's very predictable, that Darby Allin's going to walk out the champion. And, two things could happen. Like, Takeshita can screw over Okada, or Okada can lose to Darby Allin clean. Or the situation where Takeshita screws over Okada by mistake, really. So there's a bunch of different ways that that match could end. But it's also kind of hard, too, really, because I think that if Okada loses next week, they may say, hey, you know what, we don't want Okada to look weak, so he has to beat Takeshita. But I really think that with Takeshita, it's getting to a point where he and Okada, they just need to have their match. Takeshita needs to be put over as a big star. They need to kind of put him in a different direction, really, or he could lose against Okada, and then they can say, okay, he's banged out of the Don Callis family, which means he gets his ass whooped. Just like in a gang roll, you get banged in, they kick your ass, you join. You get banged out, meaning they kicked your ass double, and then they kick you out. Really, so that could be what happens, and then you can see Kyle Fletcher or Andrade actually just help Takeshita out, and then you have like maybe Andrade, Takeshita, and Kyle Fletcher all just become baby faces. The next match that I want to talk about, I didn't see it all, but the main event was Darby Allin versus Kevin Knight, and then it was announced a little bit later on that it's going to be that MGF is willing, that like Darby Allin says, hey MGF, you have to wager something for a title opportunity. So there is speculation. There is like from what we see on television that more than likely it's going to be a hair versus title match where MGF is going to be like, okay, if I lose, I get shaved bald. And by the way, my hair, I got that from Turkey where they did the surgery to give me like hair for my hair loss. But I do want to talk about that. I think I agree with a lot of people that it is kind of a stupid stipulation. And then also the other thing that I would say is that it's a dangerous one because I think that MGF could lose and he can get his head shaved. And the problem with MGF getting his head shaved is that you run the risk of turning MGF into a comical character. and he's not that. I mean, and the problem with him is that he doesn't understand that if you do too much comedy and stupid stuff, or you have your head shaved, people are going to look at you differently. They may say, "Hey, I don't want to take this guy seriously anymore." So this could be like a dark side of the ring. Oh, well, we're looking back in time. This is the moment that killed AEW type of moment, really. So I really think that MJF has to win, but it's also a good stipulation because honestly, um, it's a good. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. I've been working like over 100 hours, and I have been not taking a day off for a couple of weeks, and I only slept 2 hours yesterday. But um, but as I said, it's just not a good look for anybody. Unless MJF wins. And the other good thing, well, the only good thing about this hair versus title stipulation is because nobody really predicted this. Like because honestly, a lot of people were thinking it was going to be title opportunity versus title, or put up Hangman's lose clause. Like if MJF wins, Hangman can be face. If MJF loses, Darby Allin's like, if MJF loses, then Hangman can face for the World Heavyweight Championship, or MJF is not allowed to face Darby Allin for the Heavyweight Championship until Darby Allin's not the champion anymore. There could have been other stipulations that could have fit the story a lot better. But I do think that, as I said, this is probably one of the most important matches that AEW's ever done because it symbolizes two directions. Like one direction, you can say, okay, we're gonna have MJF get his head shaved. MJF kind of hams it up, and then maybe this will be like the end of AEW really because they'll say, okay, well this show is just way too stupid, way too comical. You take your top character and you shave their head bald, and now people are laughing at them on the street. And it's a hoot and a holler, and it shows that no matter what they do, they're trying to do these dumb 40-hour film projects type of comedy things. Or you could do something where MJF actually wins. He takes the trimmers and then he shaves maybe Sting's face or Darby Allin's face. He shaves Darby Allin bald, really, and then it makes him a heel. Then he walks into like Wembley Stadium a bigger heel or whatever. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do the next couple of months with AEW. But ultimately, the past couple of weeks have been like overall. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just really tired. But overall, I just want to say that it's just been really hard for me to kind of really enjoy the show because I'm busy working. But but I was still a lot of fun with Dynamite. I think there's a lot that they need to improve upon and do better. Really. All right, guys. I'm sorry. One thing that was making me mad was that my brother has mental health issues, like just like I do, but I only got 2 hours worth of sleep. And I remember him taking one of my packages and throwing it against the wall just to wake me up, and I wanted to just punch him in the face because he's just an asshole. Um, or sometimes when I'm sleeping, he'll just take a hammer and be banging a table because he wants to tenderize his chicken cutlets or whatever. So I'm probably gonna do an autism fatigue video talking about that. And then also, I know like Saturday, I was trying to get some sleep, but he was like mixing, using his mixer, banging his mixer, dropping his mixer, dropping like paper bags and plastic bags because he got like food or like a cookware order or something like that, really. But it's just like with him, he doesn't give a shit really. Like the reason why I'm like half falling asleep or or I look like I'm freaking tired is because my brother only got like 2 hours worth of sleep last night, and that's not cool. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.